What is up, my aesthetic boys? It's Fresh, back with another video. If you're interested in foreign travel, kids vomiting, and 90s skate punk bands, well, you've come to the right place. Stuck on top of the Eiffel Tower? Go ahead. Take the stairs. So a decade or so ago, we were in Paris in January. As one does, we decided to go to the Eiffel Tower. It was super cold and we got there late, so it was getting dark and colder by the minute. While at the second level, with the wind getting stronger and the rain starting, it became apparent that the main elevators got stuck or broken. I talked to one of the employees in my broken French and he told me the same. He was very polite and apologetic about the situation, but I wasn't particularly worried. The tower is old and these things happen. Someone, however, was not as polite and understanding, and that was the teacher of the American high school group that was stuck up there with us. After yelling at the above-mentioned employee and then yelling some more, the employee executed a bit of malicious compliance. He informed the teacher that they can walk down the stairs in the cold, the rain, the wind, and the dark. Probably a very uncomfortable and precarious walk. A few moments later, after the teacher and his group took the stairs, the polite employee asked us if we wanted to take the staff-only elevator down. Well, if there's anyone in my audience who, like me, has never been to the Eiffel Tower, a quick jaunt down Google Lane tells me that the so-called second level of the Eiffel Tower is actually 115 meters or over 377 feet up. It's the most commercial, it's over 600 steps up, and it could be damn cold at night. Also, despite me having been fortunate enough to be in a similar high school travel group at one point or another, I can confirm, without a doubt, that such packs of students are just about the most annoying thing you can run into. Most annoying people in theme parks? School groups. Most annoying groups on airplanes? School groups. Most annoying at the Eiffel Tower? Well, you guessed it. School groups. Anyway, I'm sure the kids didn't mind the exercise. Airport compliance. I saw the sweetest compliance or instant justice I've ever seen yesterday at the airport. We were standing in line for Air France in JFK, and they don't open until 1 p.m., so there was a long line of people waiting. It usually moves fairly quickly, but there was a pretty impatient person standing there. So they open up the line, and it starts to move. An attendant walks through and starts looking at tickets, and if the people pre-checked in, they were told to move to the bag drop-off line and move on. It was a quicker lane because people were literally dropping off bags only. This impatient lady asks the guy to let her go over there. He told her, well, that was for bag drop-off only. She got a little upset that they were moving quicker and asked much louder the next time. He told her that she wasn't checked in yet and she needed to stay in that line. The third time he walked by, she stopped him again and started really yelling at him about how she was paying so much for her ticket and she didn't understand why those other people got to go through. I don't know if the gate ticket person understood really what was going on, but I heard the guy say to her, "Fine, you're going to be told to go out and check in and you'll be at the back of the line, but if you insist and it means that much to you, go for it." She looked positively triumphant as she stood there with her bags, and then she got to the front and the check-in attendant looked at her passport and then told her that she wasn't checked in yet and she needed to go stand in line for the check-in. She was very upset and started yelling. Security showed up and walked her out of line. After talking to her, she agreed to get in line. And yes, they made her get in the very back. Man, they were just trying to do their job, but you wouldn't let them. Karen? Perhaps. Susan? Maybe. Entitled? No doubt. The idea that the amount of money she paid for a regular ticket could entitle her to a faster line is laughable because, you guessed it, literally everyone else in the line also paid a lot of money for their plane tickets. As Anna Camp's character Audrey said in the 2012 collegiate acapella cult classic movie Pitch Perfect, "Chloe, could you please get your head out of your ass? It's not a hat." More flies with honey. Now, my dad used to travel all around the country and the world for his job, so he had to deal with rental cars, getting reservations, etc. Now, he can have a temper sometimes, but he taught me that, above all else, you should always be courteous and kind to everyone. He had just gotten off of a flight and was at the rental car place and was second in line. In front of him, there was a man arguing that his deluxe SUV wasn't here on time. The person at the desk was apologizing, saying that there was a slight delay in the bookings because of traffic. They had to get the cars from a sister store because they ran out. The man was throwing a hissy fit, screaming and complaining at her, before finally sitting down and huffing. My dad walked up, and the service rep apologized and started to say the same thing, and he told her it was fine. That guy was an asshole, and he doesn't mind waiting for his car, which was an economy level something or other. He joked around a bit while he was waiting, too, to make her feel better. When he was called up, she handed him the keys and said with a smile and a hushed whisper, "The guy's SUV just arrived. I gave you a free upgrade because you've been so nice. Enjoy your car." Dad said the other guy ended up with his car, and Dad ended up with the SUV. I don't remember if the guy was around to see it, but I'm sure it was satisfying nonetheless. This story kind of reminds me, though, that a lot of these, malicious compliance, asshole tax type stories are really just tales from retail, but from the opposite side of the counter. If there's anything that could help you at all, especially in any kind of travel organization like a car rental, an airport gate, what have you, being nice is it. Does it guarantee anything special? No, of course not. But just the fact that you fulfill the bare minimum of being a decent human being to other human beings somehow puts you above the level of the average tired, irritated traveler. But hey, this guy got a higher gas bill and leather seats. Who can complain? Another school nurse doesn't believe kid is sick and gets puked on for their stupidity. I was in primary school and was super sick all day. I went to the sick room at break time, which was a tiny room only able to seat about 4 people, including the nurse, at once. 3 other children were in there who looked sick as hell and were puking like crazy. So the nurse let me sit on her seat but gave me no bucket because I didn't look like I was going to throw up anytime soon. She leaves the office to go call a parent of one of the other kids, and from the hazy mix of puke and my queasy stomach, I knew I was about to vomit. With no bucket, no bin, no vessel in sight, I ran to the toilets next door and came back after. The nurse returned, and I told her what had happened, and the other kids confirmed it. And she didn't believe that I puked. Where was the evidence? Oh, you flushed the toilet? How convenient. You just want to go home. I kind of sat there thinking, well, what the heck was I supposed to do now? She then tried to shoo me out because she had real sick kids to deal with. When I felt it, I felt the bile, the worst sensation of my tiny little life, and managed to say, "Bucket." She rolled her eyes and turned from me to the other kid and, with the force of a water cannon, got projectile vomited back. Not only did it hit her, the disgusting sight of it set off a chain reaction in the others, who immediately began filling their own buckets. Schools really do be like that, though. At my high school, actually, if there wasn't direct proof of some ailment, it was tough to do much. Not entirely the nurse's fault, honestly. There were just too many kids, especially at that younger elementary school level, who would constantly fake sickness or constantly ask to go to the nurse's office. It kind of ruined actual ill students' ability to be taken seriously. But again, sometimes policy gets in the way more than any kind of trust issues. I remember getting hit in the nose in a PE class so hard that I left a literal trail of blood down to the nurse's office, and they were more concerned with whether or not I had gotten the injury in a fight than they were with stopping the profuse blood loss I was currently experiencing. I kinda wish it had been in a fight. That would have been way cooler than an errant elbow in a game of pickup basketball, but hey, you win some, you lose some. Blood, that is, you lose some blood. I lost a lot of blood. Sometimes it's better to just give them what they want. I love to cook, and my husband loves to eat. Win-win, right? I mean, top it off with the fact that I like to serve him his meal while he gets to relax. It's just how I was raised, so I'm fine with it. So anyway, one day I make some homemade ice cream. I'm loving its texture, its flavor, its everything. My husband walks by and sees me eating, so he says, "Oh, I'll have some ice cream," and then sits his ass down in the living room. He was right there. I was pissed. He was so lazy he wanted me to serve him when he already has to walk past the kitchen where I stood eating right out of the container like the fat ass I am just to go to the living room. Cue my malicious compliance. I grab a bowl and fill it up. I call out, "Hey, you want toppings?" He yells back, "Hell yeah, I want toppings." It's not that he's being mean, he's just excited. So I'm preparing this bowl of ice cream with everything he loves. Chocolate syrup, caramel drizzle, homemade whipped cream, maraschino cherry, crushed up peanuts, hell, even a sliced up banana to turn it into an amazing banana split. After loading up the huge bowl of ice cream, I get 2 spoons and put one in the bowl. On the other one, I add a tiny piece of banana, tiny bit of ice cream, and a touch of all the toppings. Well, except the cherry. I walk over to him, and he's rearranging his gaming stuff, preparing to take the bowl from my hands. His eyes are glowing with joy at the sight of my beautiful creation, and he's got a smile a mile long. I sit in my chair, hug the bowl, and pass him the spoon of ice cream. The look on his face was well worth my efforts. He was so sad for like a second before he broke into a fit of laughter. He acknowledged he was being lazy, thanked me for making ice cream in the first place, then got up and fixed himself a bowl. You know, we still laugh about it months later, and he actually goes out of his way to serve me more now. Man, this is too wholesome. Too wholesome. What a freaking quality relationship built on mutual trust and respect for each other. There's just nothing to criticize. There was laughter, not shouting, no hostilities exchanged, and they both like serving each other food. If there ain't a ring on that, I sure hope you're in the market, my guy. Oh, you think it's not poison oak? Okay, try rubbing it on your face. I went hiking one spring with a friend of a friend. I kept telling him to stay away from the poison oak and gave him a tiny lecture on how to identify it. He insisted that the plant he had wasn't poison oak. I insisted that it was. After several disagreements when encountering the plant, I suggested that if he really believed that it wasn't poison oak, he would rub it on his face. Surprisingly, he did. Next week, he showed up at my house to collect some items he had left there with a massively swollen red face. I said nothing. He said nothing. I felt bad, but not as bad as he felt, I'm sure. My malicious suggestion was taken up by this stubborn, argumentative type, and I felt bad about it. Suffice it to say, we never went hiking again. Ooh, yeah, I have fairly direct secondhand experience on how nasty poison oak can be. How thick-skulled would you have to be to do something like that? Actually, wait, no, I take it back. For any of my Avatar The Last Airbender fans out there, you may recall a situation in which Uncle Iroh must decide if a plant is a delicious tea leaf or incredibly poisonous. In that case, the risk would be worth it. So if the poison oak plant was thought to make a delicious Fire Nation tea, I think the red-faced bloke was entirely justified in his experimentation. It doesn't seem like poison oak tea is a good idea though, so if you value the openness of your windpipe, I would recommend you don't attempt to make contact with or certainly not ingest any type of poison greenery. You want a bus that takes you close to X station? Okay. So I was coming home from the post office today. I just got off the train and now was sitting in the back of the bus, parked by the curb behind another bus. That's when she appeared. The star of our story, Dumb Lady. Excuse me, what bus do I take to get to the event? There's an annual event going on in my city that lasts about 2 weeks. The bus driver responds, oh, no buses take you to the event grounds. You can take the train and switch train lines to get there though. No, I need a bus that goes there. Well, there's no bus that takes you directly there. This exchange goes on for about 2 minutes. The whole time, the bus driver has been trying to explain to the woman that it's faster and more convenient to just take the train into the city and switch train lines in downtown, but she doesn't want to for some reason. I think at that point, the bus driver has had enough. As afterwards, the bus dropped me off 2 stops prematurely from my stop before it went out of service, so I'm guessing the bus driver just wanted his shift to be over and wanted to just get rid of her. I need to take a bus that at least takes me close to there. Well, you see that bus in front of us? It'll take you to X station. It's on the same train line as the event station. Just take this bus there, then take the train down. That bus was about to leave before a bus driver honked on his horn multiple times to get the other bus's attention to stop before it fully left the curb. She ended up getting on that bus and it went off. It took me at least a minute to realize he sent her on a bus that does take her close to the event station. However, that bus is a 2-hour ride as it does loops around multiple neighborhoods, roundabouts, industrial and commercial areas, combined with the fact that we're in the northeast side of the city and the event is in the southeast side. What would have been a 25 or 30 minute train commute turned into a 2-hour plus commute. Should have just taken the train, lady. Well, that's a funny last line. Should have just taken the train, lady, or SJTTL as it's known among its dearest fans, is also coincidentally the name of a lesser-known late 80s pop-punk band that actually briefly opened for Blink-182 on an Eastern Seaboard leg of their North American tour after the original opener, Alkaline Quartet, had to pull out due to an unfortunate accident involving a gerbil, an industrial barrel of silicone-based lubricant, a shortwave radio, and of course, the infamous Rogue Tortoise catalyst. I'm sure any true 90s skate punk / pop punk with horns not ska fan would remember that situation like it was yesterday. And for those of you who don't, I would encourage you to look it up. Not sure how much UNG and the label has been able to silence the whole debacle, but boy was it something. Anyhow, I think that's going to do it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe for more videos if you liked them, drop a like if you liked this video, and I'll see y'all around.